Hi, welcome back. Great to have you, folks. Rush Limbaugh having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. You know, one might say, when speaking of NASA, that the space flight realm of NASA, what happens there is the vast majority of it is actually done by private aerospace companies bidding for the jobs. Private aerospace companies bid for certain aspects. Like the government didn't build the Rover. They let a contract for it. A private sector firm, yes, with Obama bucks. I take it back. The money was allocated before Obama came along. That's probably why the money was still there. But it was your taxpayers' dollars, our taxpayer dollars, that were awarded to a private sector company to build, and probably a bunch of them combined built various aspects of the rover. The rocket. Somebody won a bid to build that parachute, for example. The rockets to slow the rover down as it approached the Martian surface. What you've got at NASA is the flight engineers and these people that manage the actual mission on the computer side, you know, engineer managers and so forth. And none of this stuff is cheap. And there's always been an argument of what's the reward here, the risk reward. What are we as a society gaining? Okay, what's the big deal landing on Mars? I had somebody ask me yesterday. I was marveling at the achievement here, and I was going on and on. Somebody said, well, what's the big deal about landing on Mars? And there are a lot of people looking at it that way. When you compare what it costs to get there and pull this off and what we derive from it, benefit-wise, versus the age-old argument, how many starving people could we have fed with the money spent on the mission to go to Mars? That never-ending question. How much money could we spend on education, Mr. Limbaugh, and rebuild some crumbling inner city schools for the money we spent to go? You're always going to have those questions. We always have had. And the people that want to argue the benefits of missions like this fall, in some cases, woefully short in trying to explain to society at large how everybody benefits from the technological advances to pull this off. It's always been part of the space program. There have always been the naysayers, and there have always been people opposed to it who claimed that the money would... And, of course, incumbent in this whole phony argument is the assumption that we're not spending enough. We're already not spending any on education. And we're not spending anything on feeding people. If we weren't spending any money on poverty, if we weren't spending money on education, then they might have an argument. But we are. We're spending much more than we're getting any return on in all of these social programs. I would argue the return that we've gotten on the space program in terms of advancing American lifestyles, technological, the things, you know, back in the 60s and 70s, there was a list, and it was a long list of all of the advances in everyday life that were outgrowths of the manned space program to the moon. Now, the Curiosity, not the mission, but the vehicle, the whole thing, $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion is a drop in the bucket in education. But there are still people who make the argument that $2.5 billion to build the Curiosity spacecraft. A total waste of money. What are we doing going to Mars? And those people are always going to be there. But just the point is that the guy Ray called, hey, look at what all government did. Government did what they always do here. Private sector, aerospace companies built everything involved here. Nobody in government built the Rover. This is not to put anybody down. This is to be accurate about this.